Hello, brothers and sisters. Here we begin the study of the prophetic section of Daniel. The first 6 chapters are historical. This chapter contains a vision given Daniel in 3 parts. He was shown first the 4 beasts, then the judgment. Finally, the angel gave the inspired interpretation. The time of this vision was before the events of chapter 5 and 6, since it occurred in the first year of Belshazzar. For a short period of time, Daniel was not at the court in the city of Babylon. He had gone to Elam, province of Babylon. He was evidently there on business for the king. Daniel chapter 8, verse 1, 2, and 27. In the last year of Belshazzar, as Cyrus was advancing toward Babylon, Daniel returned to Babylon. But prior to his return, he was shown in vision that which is recorded in chapters 7 and 8. A correct understanding of this chapter is dependent on the Bible interpretation of the symbols used. The 4 symbols, winds, sea, beast, and horns, are all used in prophecy. We must apply the Bible's definition of these terms to find the true meaning of this prophecy. Winds signify strife and commotion. The blowing of the winds indicates battles between nations. Read Jeremiah chapter 49, verses 35 to 37. Sea represents peoples and nations. Read Revelation chapter 17, verses 1 and 15, Isaiah chapter 8, verses 7 and 8, Jeremiah chapter 47, verses 2 and 3. Beasts symbolize kings or kingdoms. Read Daniel chapter 7, verses 17 and 23. Horns also represent kings or kingdoms. Read Daniel 7, verses 24. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. These had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Verses 1 through 8. Daniel was given this vision at night. In his sleep, God spoke to him. Job tells us God sometimes talks to men as he did to Daniel. Read Job chapter 33, verses 14 to 17. When he awakened, he wrote and spoke what he had seen. The same 4-world empire shown to Nebuchadnezzar, recorded in chapter 2 using the symbol of a great image, are here represented under the symbol of beast. 2-winged lion. The lion as king of beasts was an appropriate symbol to represent the Babylonian kingdom. It was fierce and strong and conquered with great speed as shown by the 2 wings of an eagle. The prophet Habakkuk, in his vision of Babylon, recorded the significance of this 2-winged lion when he said, For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land, to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. They shall fly as the eagle that hasteth to eat. Habakkuk 1, verses 6 through 8. The lion finally stood up like a man with a man's heart. This showed its aggression would cease. This was the situation after Nebuchadnezzar's death. Habakkuk gives the 2-fold reason for this. Read Habakkuk chapter 1, verses 11. It is a serious mistake to attribute one's power and might to self, as Nebuchadnezzar had done. Read Daniel chapter 4, verse 30. Only 2 years after this vision of chapter 7, in 538 BC, Daniel observed Babylon's fall. bear with 3 ribs. This bear rightly represented the Medo-Persian kingdom. It was a dual power. As she prepared to conquer nations, she raised herself up on one side. In Daniel 8 verse 3, the same power is symbolized by a ram with 2 horns, one of which was higher than the other. This 2-horned ram represented Medo-Persia. Read Daniel chapter 8 verse 20. In the image shown to Nebuchadnezzar, Medo-Persia was represented by the breast and 2 arms of silver. The 3 ribs in the bear's mouth were the kingdoms which had to be overcome in order for Medo-Persia to become a world power. They were Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. 4-winged, 4-headed leopard. Here is presented the third world kingdom, Greece. It was Alexander the Great who led the Grecian armies to victory at the Battle of Arbela in 331 BC. With great dispatch, the Babylonian kingdom had become a world power. Alexander made even greater haste, as seen by the leopard with 4 wings. However, Alexander did not rule long. He died as a young man, and the 4 heads of this beast represent the division of the Grecian Empire among his 4 leading generals. They were Lysimachus, Ptolemy, Cassander, and Seleucus. Under the symbol of a he-goat in Daniel chapter 8 verse 21, Greece was pictured, and the notable horn was Alexander. When that horn was suddenly broken, 4 other horns appeared, which corresponded to the 4 heads of this leopard beast. 10-horned beast with iron teeth. This beast was so different from the preceding beast, no animal could represent it. It was dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. The power represented by this 4th beast is the same referred to by the legs of iron in the great image of Daniel chapter 2 verse 40. Historians reveal that Rome was the 4th world empire. Gradually she came to be considered a world power. It is generally agreed that the first step in overthrowing the Grecian Empire was at the Battle of Pydna in 168 BC. However, the full control of the Grecian Empire was not completed until about 30 BC. The great iron teeth told of the severe cruelty manifested toward the nations as she took control. She made many slaves out of the people she conquered. The 10 horns of this beast correspond to the 10 toes in the image of Daniel 2. However, this 4th power was different. In each of the preceding world kingdoms, there was a strong ruler, but not so with Rome. The details of this history are given beginning in Revelation 8 under the symbol of the sounding of the 7 trumpets. Between the years AD 351 AD 483, barbarian hordes from the north of Europe and Asia overran the Roman Empire, dividing it into 10 parts known as the Anglo-Saxons, Franks, Visigoths, Huns, Suevi, Burgundians, Lombards, Heruli, Vandals, and Ostrogoths. Daniel was concerned as he observed in the midst of the horns a little horn arose with the eyes and the mouth of a man. He saw this horn uproot 3 of the original 10. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Verses 9 through 14. These verses reveal what took place in heaven just after the little horn played its part. The judgment scene here depicts the closing work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary. God the Father is the presiding judge. Christ is the advocate. 1 John chapter 2 verse 1. As in any judgment, records are important. Therefore Daniel saw the books opened. They contain the record of those to be judged. The attendants are spoken of as being innumerable. These are the angels. Read Hebrews chapter 1 verses 7 and 14. To understand this judgment scene, give careful attention to the ancient sanctuary erected by Moses. There was the daily service, conducted in the first or holy apartment, and the Day of Atonement service, conducted in the second or most holy apartment. In the daily service, in the holy apartment, the priest ministered the blood of the innocent animal, usually a lamb, for the sins of the individual. The sinner brought his lamb and showed thereby that he believed in the Messiah who would come and shed his blood to atone for sin. The blood of the slain lamb was sprinkled before the veil which separated the holy and most holy apartments. This satisfied the demands of the broken law of God, for the wages of sin is death. Romans chapter 6 verse 23. After his resurrection, when Christ ascended to heaven, John saw him in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. Revelation chapter 1 verses 12 and 13. In heaven, Christ, the true priest, became man's mediator to reconcile the repentant sinner to God by his own shed blood. Once a year, on the Day of Atonement, the high priest went into the most holy apartment on a mission of cleansing, disposing of the record of all confessed sins. In the sanctuary in the wilderness, this was a service to decide who was to continue on to the promised land. It was concerned only with God's people. Likewise, when Christ entered upon his work in the most holy apartment in the heavenly sanctuary, this great day of judgment mentioned by Daniel had to do only with people who at some time in their lives had made a profession of serving the true God. The purpose of this first phase of judgment is to determine, by looking at the record in the books, those who are to inherit God's kingdom. Read Malachi chapter 3 verses 16 through 18. This investigative time of the judgment is what Peter had in mind when he says, "For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?" 1 Peter 4 verse 17. The judgment will be fair. Everything will be taken into consideration. Read Psalms chapter 87 verses 5 and 6. Next, Daniel was concerned with the words spoken by the little horn. He observed the beast was finally slain and destroyed. Each former beast kingdom had lost its power, but continued its existence in the new government. Not so, however, with the fourth beast kingdom. Finally, Christ is portrayed as approaching the Ancient of Days, God the Father. This is at the close of the investigative phase of the judgment. At that time, before he returns to earth, John chapter 14 verses 1 through 3, the kingdom is given to him by the Father. Probation closes for the human race. Jesus prepares to come for the citizens of his eternal kingdom. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me known the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful. Teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and to destroy it until the end. And the kingdom and dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Verses 15 through 28. Daniel desired to know what God was saying by this vision. Evidently, one of the angels helped him to understand. It was revealed to him that the four world empires would pass away and that the saints would be the citizens of the fifth, the kingdom of Christ. He was most concerned with the fourth beast, its 10 divisions, and especially the little horn. In verse 22, he observed that the little horn power was successful in its war against the saints right up to the time of the return of Christ. Even though in the great controversy between Christ and Satan, the little horn power would play a very prominent part from its birth in AD 538, yet it was to be supreme for only 1260 prophetic days or years. After AD 1798, the investigative judgment in heaven would begin. Then the dominion and power would finally be taken from the little horn power. The coming of Christ makes it possible for the saints of God to enter into their inheritance. It appears there were some things not clear to Daniel. He did not dismiss them from his mind, but pondered them in his heart. In the next chapter, we shall comprehend better the accomplishments of the little horn power. The little horn power versus truth and error. In verses 7 and 8, God portrays the rise of a religio-political power. There were 3 of the 10 powers into which Rome was divided, who were strongly opposed to the teachings and practices of this new power. Therefore the Heruli, Ostrogoths, and Vandals were destroyed as this new powerful system came to the forefront, uprooting the Heruli in AD 493, the Vandals in AD 534, and the Ostrogoths in AD 538. Notice the 4 characteristics which identify this system as the Antichrist. Verses 25. 1. Shall speak great words against the Most High. As this power developed, she assumed titles belonging only to the Creator God. During the Middle Ages, sometimes called the Dark Ages, this dominant religio-political system exalted itself to be equal with and even above God. As a means of obtaining righteousness, works became very important. 2. Shall wear out the saints of the Most High. As this system came to power, she persecuted and put to death thousands of dissenters. 3. Think to change times and laws. The little horn power attempted to make changes in God's holy law. It was a gradual change. Many of the doctrines introduced were contrary to God's will. Worship on the first day of the week was introduced gradually for Christians and finally came to be accepted generally. Many catechisms reflect the working of this power by which the second commandment was expunged. The 10th commandment was divided into 2, and the 4th changed to refer to worship on the first day of the week. 4. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. This refers to the period when this system was supreme. In Daniel chapter 4 verse 25, Nebuchadnezzar was deposed until 7 times passed over him, which was 7 years. If time refers to 1 year, then times would be at least 2 years, and the dividing of time would be a half year. This would then be a total of 3.5 times or years. When reckoning prophetic time, we use 30 days to the month or 360 days for each year. Therefore, 3.5 prophetic years is the same as 1260 days or literal years. See Numbers chapter 14 verse 34 and Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 6. In Revelation 12 verse 14, God's church is pictured as having been in a state of seclusion for a time and times and half a time. God explains this to be 1260 days in Revelation 12 verse 6. Remember then to apply the rule for interpreting prophetic time, each day for a year. Ezekiel chapter 4 verses 4 through 6. By disposing of her final opposition, the Ostrogoths in AD 538, this little horn power was destined to be supreme until AD 1798. At that time, the little horn was temporarily wounded, resulting in the loss of much of its power. In summary, in this chapter, the controversy between Christ and Satan is intensified during the supremacy of the little horn power. It was a devastating power controlling the minds of people, giving them no freedom in matters of conscience. Even though this power continued for 1260 years, God foretold this system would be destroyed ultimately. Victory in the controversy is finally obtained by Christ, so that the saints are spoken of as possessing the kingdom. It is evident that truth will triumph.